Safe and effective knife skills start with how you stand in front of a cutting board. You're going to want to place your non-dominant leg slightly ahead of your dominant leg, and then make sure you're standing up straight and relaxed. Then you can start to pick up the knife. The pinch grip is the most effective way of holding a knife. It easily allows you to move the knife back and forth along the blade while still maintaining control. Using the balance point of the knife as a fulcrum where you pinch, manipulate the handle with the back of your hand in order to move the blade. The blade should always maintain contact with your middle finger. This way, as you move the knife back and forth, your free hand stays attached to it and you have more control. Now that you've seen how to hold a knife, let's look at the best way to make sure that it cuts. A knife cuts best when it's moving in one direction. It's not moving sideways, it's not pressing down. It actually cuts best when a knife is pushed or pulled along the blade. Three of the most common cutting techniques are the rocking chop, pulling slice, and the mince. The first two can be used fairly interchangeably depending on personal preference. A mince is almost exclusively used for chopping an ingredient into much finer pieces. To execute a rocking chop, start with the point of the knife towards the cutting board and then push the knife forward and down along the curve of the blade. To do a pulling slice, place the tip of the blade on the cutting board and then hold it down there as you pull the knife back through the food. To do a mince, place your free hand on the spine of the blade above the curve and then chop up and down and back and forth using a lever motion with your knife hand. Understanding these knife mechanics and basic cutting techniques will help prevent a lot of issues, but here are some important tips to keep in mind anytime that you're in front of your cutting board. Always make sure that your knife is sharp. A sharp knife will move through food the way that you intend with very little effort, whereas a dull knife can move unpredictably and requires much more energy. Try to create a stable surface whenever possible, either by cutting off a small piece of the side of food or cutting it in half. This prevents your fingers of your free hand from rolling into the knife blade and getting cut. Make sure to use a cutting board that has a little bit of give to it, like wood or plastic. This helps to maintain the edge of your blade and will prevent your knife from slipping. Only work with what you're currently cutting on the board at any given time. Set aside any finished cuts and throw away any waste. Try to use the smaller muscles in your hand for control and the larger muscles in your arm for movement. This will help you be more efficient and more consistent with each cut. Make sure that you have no distractions. If anything pulls your attention away from your cutting board, stop what you're doing, set your knife down, address that distraction, and then come back to your cutting board with your full attention. With these fundamentals and tips in hand, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to slice up some cucumbers to make pickles, or maybe chop up some vegetables for a soup? Go ahead and explore. Just make sure that your fingers aren't on the menu.